From the darkest corners of the creepy old house down the street to the screams in the night. Settle in, Parafamily, to join with Whitney and Brandon for another spooky episode of the Para-Unity Podcast.
Hello, Para-Family.
Yay!
And welcome to our season finale of the Para-Unity Podcast. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Whitney, and what a season it's been, hasn't it?
It's been a wild ride. I feel horrible because I think I've only been here for maybe half the time.
It's okay. I slightly forgive you.
Call me a part-time potty.
I mean, oh, wow. Do you realize what you just said?
Mhm.
Part-time potty.
I'm a part-time pottycaster.
Oh,
Wow.
Lord. Yep, you can already...
Potty.
Para-Family, you already see where we're going this week. This is going to be great. I don't know how much potty humor is going to be around, but you know what? It's always welcome. What have you been up to, Brandon?
Just been busy. Baseball season is here, thank God. And so we're busy with that 3 nights a week. That started back end of February, early March. That'll go through July. And then Kelly and I are joining with a bunch of other people that are probably too old, but we're playing softball through the end of summer into the fall.
Nice.
So, and little Miss Maddie is playing t-ball for the first time, complete with her pink everything, pink bat, pink helmet, pink cleats, pink backpack.
Wow.
She's a fashionista.
Sounds like it. Well, even t-ball players need to be fashionable.
That's right. She'll be sitting there striking her pose at the batting cage.
Oof. I wonder what that's... You guys are going to have to teach her. If anyone has any thoughts about good poses for t-ball players, especially those under the age of 7, please let Brandon know.
Yeah, right.
Oh boy. Yeah. I was on an investigation couple of weeks ago. I was at Hanover Tavern with their friends at Transcend Paranormal.
Nice.
Once again, I got talked into going into the Old Stone Jail, and I regretted it.
Again?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I was at the Galena Haunted Paranormal Conference.
Oh yeah.
April, and was leading a team of people through it, and we got absolutely nothing.
That's fine.
At 3 locations.
Really?
We struck out in 3 places in one night.
Strike. Yeah. Also, well, speaking of sports and strikeouts, even though it's a totally different genre of sports, let's go Boston Celtics. Fine.
You said it right. You said it. Well, you said it right for the Americans.
I said it right for the Americans. Go Celtics. They just have, since they won this game against Cleveland, they just have to do one more game.
So you're rooting for the Bruins then?
I don't really do hockey.
Oh,
shush. Besides, I've got enough on my plate between work and also taking Preston to fencing 3 nights a week.
That's fair.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I hope everybody tunes into the Olympics because it's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, yes. Paris is such a beautiful stage for that.
The Olympics are the most important thing on the face of the earth every 2 years. So
4 years.
2 years because they have the Winter Olympics.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Okay, every 4 years for the Summer Olympics.
That's right.
And we're talking way too much about sports. Why aren't we talking about ghosts and stuff like that?
I don't know. Who cares?
Okay.
We're just having fun. But you know what we should do is tonight we're doing something special with it being the season finale.
Yes.
We have a panel of old and new friends to talk about your favorite haunted location.
Yes.
At haunted jail. No, just joking.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia.
Woo!
The old Witter's been doing a lot of research on the location, and she is eager to share it with all of you.
With the help of my friends. So let's go ahead and get down to it. St. Albans Sanatorium technically is located in Fairhaven, Virginia, in Pulaski County, but is literally across the bridge from the larger city of Radford. Radford, Virginia has a population of 16,070 people as of the 2020 U.S. Census. It's part of the Blacksburg-Christiansburg metropolitan area, which, by the way, includes another big school, Virginia Tech. And Radford itself is the home of Radford University. I knew somebody that went there back in the 90s, and, it's a pretty cool little area.
All the places out there are cool little areas.
Oh, well, how would you know? You haven't been to many of them.
Well, I look at them when we're doing the research and stuff, and they're all those little quaint little towns. And
he looks.
Yeah, I have to keep up with you. All right. Anyway. Well, Radford was first known as the Lovely Mount, Central City, English Ferry, and Ingalls Ferry on the banks of the New River, because they just don't know what to call themselves. But its position made it a natural draw for food, water, trade, and transportation. Population grew after 1854 thanks to the construction of the Virginia and Tennessee Railroad.
So the city's name came from Dr. John Blair Radford, whose plantation Arnheim was built between 1838 and 1840. And incidentally, it is on the National Register. His daughter, Anne, who was also known as Nancy or Nan, she married a man named Gabriel Wharton, who was a prominent brigadier general of the Confederate Army. And their house, Glencoe, was built in 1870 and today is a history museum, and it's beautiful. I highly recommend a visit there. You'll learn a lot, and it's also in just this really beautiful area.
I love how all the old houses had names.
I mean, yeah. I wonder
what would you name your house?
Pale Moon Villa.
Okay.
Yeah. What would you name your house?
St. Albans Sanatorium.
Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no.
So anyways, in 1913, the Radford State Normal School was established for women's college students. And in 1924, it was renamed Radford College. Then Radford University in 1979. In 1940 and 41, the U.S. military established the Radford Army Ammunition Plant, or the Radford Arsenal, for the manufacturing of gunpowder and other ammunitions.
Yep. Now, also in 1940, on August 14th of 1940, the worst river flooding in Radford's history took place when the slow-moving Georgia-South Carolina hurricane of 1940 dumped record rainfall throughout southwestern and central Virginia. There's a really interesting account about it, so I'll try and find the link and put it in the show notes. But the USGS recorded the high water mark at 35 feet 11 and a half inches, which was like 22 feet above the flood stage.
That is almost the exact totals that we had here in Cedar Rapids back in 2008.
Oh my gosh.
Like almost exactly for the height and the amount over the flood stage.
That is crazy. Wow. Yeah, there's like a sign, kind of like a sign and a historic marker that's set in one of the town parks in Radford. So you can definitely see how high it was. That's wild.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of, well, I mean, it's not cool, but it's
no.
kind of, yeah. So anyways, hauntings in Radford
there you go.
Not limited to St. Albans Sanatorium. There are plenty of stories around Radford University, including the ghost of a girl who supposedly hanged herself in the elevator shaft at Tyler Hall. Those students have heard voices which are attributed to this unfortunate girl. Tyler Hall is one of the older buildings on campus and is being used as a dorm.
Last I saw, it was being used as a dorm. A lot of the ghost stories that I found about Radford University came from the Radford University Special Collections. They have a really cool online database. So I put some of those up in the show notes. Another legend of Radford University's ghosts is that of a girl called Elizabeth, who is said to haunt the tunnels that run beneath the campus. Legend holds that she was bullied by her peers and something unspecified, but something horrible happened to her in the tunnels on Halloween. Yes. That I've seen the tunnel stories are all over the place with these colleges, I've noticed.
Oh yeah, of course. 100%.
But we're not going to talk about colleges or higher learning, although Radford University did have a link to St. Albans in some of its recent history, but we're going to let our exciting and enthusiastic panel tell you more about it. So we're going to bring them on for you guys. Chat is open. We look forward to hearing what you guys think and bring some questions for our guests. Our first guest that we bring on is Ted Willis from the Association of Paranormal Study. Next is Ronnie Anderson from Bedford Paranormal. And then we've got Robert Bradley from CPRI. And then finally, April Brachowski from the Freaks and Geeks podcast. And Everything is Awesome. And also, just so you know, Ronnie, Daryl Paulette is in the chat right now, and he's got your back, brother.
No, okay.
Thanks, Daryl. And Para family, Para friends, welcome to the Para Unity podcast. How's it going, everyone?
Good.
Going all right.
Woo-hoo! The audio is good. Let's make sure it stays that way. Okay.
So first question I have is, what would these people name their houses?
Oh, yeah.
The money pit.
Oh, I've been there.
Oh, my God.
Casa de Hellhole.
Woo!
Anxietyville.
Okay.
I would have to go with something spooky. It would be like Ravencroft Manor.
Ooh. Oh, be careful, April. That might be the name of the place I put in the next D&D campaign we're running.
Oh. I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense.
Knowing that group, yes.
I love how negative all the names were.
Pillman Villa wasn't negative. It was cute.
Which one?
And so was my name.
No, I meant... Just never mind.
I mean, I feel like Casa del Hellhole would probably have really good chips and salsa. So
I think so too.
Yeah, very true. All I can think of is the old Batman movie with the "Hello There" sign.
Oh my gosh! Oh wow, that brings me back. Anyway, let's stay on the rails. No, we won't. We're I know these guys. We're going to be off the rails.
Being here is just to keep us off the rails. What are you talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, everybody, welcome tonight. And you all have been gathered here because we all have some connection in some form or fashion to this amazing location in Bradford, Virginia, St. Albans Sanatorium. I talk about it all the time, ad nauseum, ad obsession. And I really feel that there's a lot we can explore about this building and this location, not just in terms of the paranormal, but also historically and why we feel it matters so much. So we're going to kind of go around the table and just kind of have each one of you once again kind of introduce yourselves to the audience and how often you've actually been to St. Albans. It's okay if you haven't been there yet or it's been a long time. So who would like to start?
My name is Brandon.
Hi, Brandon.
I feel like I'm at an AA meeting.
You've been sober for 5 years.
Yes, I have my coin, but I traded it in for a drink.
Hey!
I've never been there.
Okay, so we're going to be teaching Brandon some stuff. Ted, what about you? Go ahead.
Yes, Ted, I have been once, and it was about 13 years ago. And I still have quite vivid memories from my experiences there. So I'm excited to revisit and hear some more.
Yeah, that's great. All right. April, what about you?
I have been to St. Albans a ton of times, more times than I can count. My latest, I hadn't gone for a long time because I moved to Texas for a little while. But I went back, last spring? What was that? 2 springs ago?
I want to say, yeah, when was the last Enigma Cons?
Ronnie, you would know. You were there.
Was it 2022?
2023, April.
Yeah.
Okay, so about
A year ago.
About a year since I was there last, working on going again for another round. And just I've had incredible experiences there. I've actually had an incredible experience with Whitney there
Yep.
in the bowling alley, and also suicide bathrooms. That whole attic area, we've had a great time. At one point, I was helping out with tours there. This was a long time ago, but I was helping out with tours there, and they were bringing people around. I actually fell asleep in the suicide bathroom. So, yeah, it's like home. That's
And
every
yeah,
time I go.
Wow. And we will, and I saw the look on Brandon's face. He's like, wait, what? Suicide bathroom?
No, I was more excited about the bowling alley.
Yeah, that too. There's a lot in there. Trust me, we will get to that. All right, Brad, what about you? When was the last time you were at St. Albans?
Oh, I think I was at St. Albans a couple of years ago. I've been there like 7 times, and on behalf of CPRI, and I'm the research director for CPRI, and we, you know how we operate. We operate like an academic laboratory, and the things that we were able to, the experiments that we ran on site there were many and varied, you know. And Alan Marson had us come down the last time I was there, and wanted us to run some of our experiments to try to back up some of the stuff that he found. And it was a real interesting experience, I gotta say. But yeah, I've been there about 7 times, I think.
And Ronnie, do you even have enough fingers?
I've been going to St. Albans since 2009, pretty regularly, once, twice a year, up until about COVID. Mm-hmm. And even during the COVID, when they shut down, Bedford Paranormal pretty much has the keys to the place. So it's our home away from home. But I think I was there last month, maybe the last time I was there. And it's an amazing place. Like I said, it's our home away from home. And there's so many experiences all over that building. And everybody's talking about the bowling alley and suicide bathroom, boiler room. There's so much to that place. If you get off the beaten path, that's the thing to do at St. Albans.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
after St. Albans shut down during that little bit of time during the COVID pandemic, the building changed a lot. So all your activity with the bathroom and this, you know, all the hot spots that TV shows, it changed. The building changed while it was dormant. And then there's other things there that we're trying to do some research on in different locations of the building that we get a lot of activity from, like the King Center. Mm-hmm. And my advice to everybody is to get off the beaten path there. It's an amazing place.
Absolutely. And we're going to get more in. So we've thrown out a lot of different little place names in terms of the hot spots in St. Albans. So let's back up just a little bit and let's touch on the history. So this is going to be a very cursory overview. I have been gathering research on the history. I know, Ronnie, you two have been gathering a lot, or Alan May has also. I think, Brad, you've also gathered some history stuff. Ted, what do you know about the history of St. Albans?
Well, I think the most interesting thing to me is that it started out as a Lutheran school. Mm-hmm. That as a school teacher myself, any history having to do with education is going to be of major interest to me. And it's just amazing how like a building can be so many things. And like once it's a school and now it's a place that houses supposed mental illness folks. And of course there are people who had, you know, their undiagnosed because of the time period, mental issues, but we also know that there are people there who had no business there because, well, I mean, to be clear, men. Men said that this was a bad thing to have, and so they were put in places they shouldn't be. I mean, that's about my depth of knowledge as what it is and what it used to be.
Yeah. So St. Albans did, like Ted said, it did start out as a prep school for boys. It opened its doors in 1892, and it was a fairly small student body. And the headmaster, George Miles was his name. He and his family were there on campus. So the students actually would be able to dine with the headmaster and his family. By the way, a lot of this information you can find online quite easily. Department of Historic Resources of Virginia has a whole write-up on St. Albans because I think they were going for their registration. It is a Virginia landmark. So because of that, all of this information is on there, especially architecture significance. It is a complex of 3 buildings. The 2 oldest buildings are from 1892, but then there was another building that was added in, I think, 1930, or 1916. So it operated as a boys' school for a good portion of the 1890s, and it was known for athletics. And let me tell you something, guys. Teenage boys are teenage boys. They're crazy. They are. But it's a very interesting because you can also access digital copies of their school yearbooks online. They're available through Radford University Special Collections. So you can actually look. In fact, you can trace a boy's school career through those yearbooks. It's crazy. So George Miles does get ill, and he's also let's face it, he's probably starting to lose interest running the school. There was a change in headmaster leadership, and then in 1904 or 1905, George Miles passes away. I think he had like stomach cancer or something like that. They actually have an obituary in the Richmond Times-Dispatch. So that's crazy. And then the school closes. But the next stage is yet to come, and that's when it opens in 1916 as St. Albans Sanatorium, as a private hospital. I want to say it's a private hospital for that area. And it ran that way until sometime, when did it actually shut down? Ronnie, do you know?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was the 80s.
Yeah.
I think it was the 80s.
Yeah, that sounds about. What do you think,
I'm not familiar
April?
with the date, but
I think it was the 90s.
It was either the late 80s.
It might be the 90s.
Yeah.
Something I had read in prep for this said the 90s. So,
Aw, she prepped.
I always come on here and look like a dummy. You know, like there's a lot of history. So
I always look like a dummy.
It should be something I should know, but Alan, he's our historian, and Angie is our historian. So
yeah, and our thoughts, of course, continue to be with Angie.
Yeah, she's doing well.
She is doing well. She's kicking cancer's butt.
Good.
Okay, so that's the basic overview of the history. Now it is basically run as an event space, mostly for paranormal investigations, history tours, and other events. And guys, I'm not kidding when I say this is a skeleton crew. It is basically led by one woman, Marcel Hanauer. Hi, Marcel. We love you. And a bunch of volunteers. So, Brandon's smiling because I know sites that kind of operate like that too. And sometimes it's rough. It can be very rough. So I guess one question I want to ask is, when did the paranormal stories actually start? Do you guys know if any of how far back do the hauntings go?
As far as I know, you know how the building is, where
I do.
People it got left behind for a long time, and people started breaking in and urban exploring and vandalizing. But a lot of stories started way before I even went there. But I don't know exactly when the first story came, but I'm sure, like the suicide bathroom about Rebecca, all that is urban legend.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there's nothing documented about it. So I guess when those stories started, I don't know. I guess it came from these people, these college kids that went in there and they just created a lot of stuff, and all of a sudden it was haunted, or either they breaking in and having experiences and stuff. I don't know when it started.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Well, Ronnie, correct me if I'm wrong here, but so I had to search it real quick. This is not off the dome piece at all. But so when Gina Renee Hall, right, she went missing July 29th, 1980. I'm reading it. And I think that pretty much off the bat from her disappearance, people suspected St. Albans of being in the mix. Now, whether that actually came to pass and whether that's true or not is up for a lot of debate and has been debunked by a lot of different people. But I would say, you might even be able to pin it back at least in the 80s, because we know that those ghost stories of Gina started then from that day.
Yeah, well, if you do know the story behind her death, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had an affiliation with St. Albans somehow or another, and they claimed that she may have been buried in the boiler room. But since then, I believe they found her body.
Or at least the piece of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So for people that don't know, there is a true crime element to the greater story, not just of St. Albans, but of also Southwestern Virginia, this area of Virginia. A young lady, Gina Renee Hall, she was a college student. This is in 1980. She was 18 years old. She went out one night with a young man. I believe he was from Virginia Tech.
No, ma'am.
Huh?
No, ma'am.
Oh, where was he from?
Stephen Epperly. That's his name, Stephen Epperly. Yeah. I think he was a local. I don't think he actually went to college. Let me confirm really quickly.
Yeah, but he was a good deal older than she was, but very handsome man, very charismatic, and they went out. And then she was never seen again. So,
oh no,
yeah,
he was a Virginia Tech football player.
Ah, thanks. Vindication.
I'm a Hokie, so I had to.
Oh no! See how sports blend with the paranormal, folks. Oh,
yeah, I was hoping he was a Virginia Tech guy because I'm from West Virginia, so we can't like Virginia Tech guys. So sorry.
Why don't you go burn a couch somewhere?
That's right. Wow. As a matter of fact, I have one right over here. It's on. No, I'm joking.
No, nobody hears from the University of Virginia, right?
I got my stepson graduating from UVA this coming week.
Oh Lord.
Hey, I went to Longwood. We didn't have a football team. And Brandon he's like, oh crap.
Oh, I go through this all the time.
Yep. Anyway,
I'm originally from Oklahoma, so I'm a Hokie. I'm a Sooner.
Oh,
hey.
I can live.
I'm originally from Texas, so go figure. I have the worst of both worlds. I'm from Texas and West Virginia, so there you go.
Ted, what about you?
Eastern North Carolina. I went to East Carolina University. Go Pirates.
Oh, I can't like you either. Sorry, Ted. I gotta go.
Oh man.
And
it's
that's our
always
show,
sports.
folks.
And that's the end. Bye, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I do appreciate the levity because it is a pretty serious subject when you're talking about a young girl that completely disappears. Steve Epperly was actually this is the first court case where somebody is declared guilty and found guilty without a body for evidence. Yeah. So it ended up being a landmark case. But it is a very sad story. It can be a very controversial story because there's been so much there's been a lot of the urban legends surrounding it. And some people were saying that St. Albans was a place where her body was dumped, which it wasn't. At least as far as we know. But that just shows you how far back the stories and the allure of St. Albans has been around. So we're going to kind of now shift gears and start talking about the haunts of St. Albans.
What if she was buried there and they just moved the body after they got the heat from it?
Now, Brandon, are you going to make me put on a tinfoil hat now?
It's my job tonight is just to be the wild card.
You're he's so proud of himself, folks.
I am. Brandon I learned how to talk. It's that Iowa background,
Yeah. Congratulations. Brandon has, for those of you that will hear this on a podcast, Brandon just has this cat ate the canary smile on his face. It's so adorable right now.
That's right.
Yes. All right. So there is a wonderful book already out about St. Albans. It's called The Ghosts of St. Albans Sanatorium. And it has a nice history section by Shelley Sprouse. Now her name is Gerhardt, but she did a lot of historical research in the beginning about St. Albans. And a good friend of the show, Pat O'Keefe, photographer, had taken photographs for that book, and it's gorgeous. So a part of that book was also describing the different phantoms there, and we've already mentioned one. So April, over to you. What have you heard about the suicide bathroom and the ghost of Rebecca?
So there's lots of it seems like every time I go in there, there's almost a different spin on the story, or there's a slightly different element to it. But I think what I'm tracking is that there were, the most I've heard is 5 suicides in one of the particular bathrooms in the attic section of St. Albans. One of the stories that I've heard is that there was a female nurse named Rebecca, and Rebecca had gotten pregnant from, I believe, one of the doctors or one of the staff there. She was not able to keep her baby, and so in a fit of despair, she took her life in that bathroom as well. So that's one of them.
Hmm. And as you mentioned, there's several others too. Ronnie, I believe there's a story that there's some other variations of that story. What's some of the ones you've heard?
I've heard of 4 suicides in that area, but Rebecca, I believe what I've heard was she was a patient, mm-hmm. and she had the baby and put the baby in a jar and hid it in the closet. And somebody had told the orderlies about it, and they took the baby from her. And that's what put her in distress and made her commit suicide. Like I said, the only thing I've got any activity up in the suicide bathroom was the girls in our group seen an older lady up there. Hmm. I've never in all the years got anything having to do with Rebecca.
That's funny you would mention an older lady.
Oh.
Because we, excuse me, as we were running, various experiments over the last few years, that's one of the things that keeps popping up while we're trying to set up our 32 some odd cameras. We run into all of a sudden out of the corner of our eye, there's an old lady walking across the hall. And then it's like we run after, of course, there's nobody there. And of course, it always happens right before we start recording anything. So,
As always.
but we've seen that no less than 6 times since we've been down there. And that was 6 times in 3 visits. That was insane. I thought that was interesting. Typically we don't look for a particular entity like a name or anything like that. We're looking more, for anomalies. But that was definitely an anomaly because I saw one once, and I have this nasty habit of running towards stuff instead of running away from stuff. I'm not like Zach Bagans. Oh, did I say that? I run towards stuff. And we have police officers that are in our organization that get mad at me because I do that. And because they're afraid that, especially at St. Albans, there might be a vagrant or something around and I might end up being dead there myself. So, but anyway, the older lady thing is, it really resonates with me because I've seen it myself. That was something else. And that I am not one to exaggerate stuff like that because I'm probably one of the biggest skeptic on this panel. It's like I couldn't believe what I saw. I was like, is there an old lady here? And it looked like she had on a Bedford shirt, Ronnie. I swear to God, it looked like that.
I know who's on your team, Ronnie, and they are not old ladies.
No, I mean, it was weird because I've seen your shirts and it's like, wait a minute. Did I just see that? Did I see that lady walk by there with that shirt on? And
that is wild.
It's pretty wild. And it's usually down there. The funny thing is it's down as you're coming out, if you come out of the King Center there and you go where the pop machines are now and everything, you go through that door and go up that ramp. It's right there.
Yeah.
Is where we always see this person. And it's kind of crazy. Sorry, I just had to say that because it really resonated. And
that's great.
Oh, wow, Ronnie, thanks for bringing that up.
That is so cool.
Daryl from the House of One Way said that he has seen her as well.
Yep.
Daryl's a member of Bedford Paranormal too.
I know Daryl. Good to see you, Daryl.
Did he give her the shirt?
I mean, maybe.
Did you give her a shirt, Daryl? Daryl, did you give her a shirt?
But he did confirm that he saw her in the same place that you saw her.
I've seen shadow play in the suicide bathroom area. And me and Steve Dills went up one night and we got to the top of the stairs and we were probably 4 or 5 foot apart and we both heard a growl in between us. But other than that, I've seen shadow play. I've never got anything about any Rebecca. Like I said, the only thing we've gotten up there was an older lady, old gray-headed lady.
Interesting. Ted, I'm going to take it over to you because you've been to St. Albans once and you're just so excited. So let's talk about some of your experiences in St. Albans.
Well, let's start with the suicide bathroom.
Yeah.
So again, it's been a hot minute since I was there, and like I'm gonna speak with the air of mystery. I'm gonna pretend like everybody already knows my entire backstory. But there was a period of time where I was very open. I definitely don't consider myself a medium, but there's as what I call a touch of destiny in there somewhere. And this is a period where I was exploring that, and St. Albans just happened to be in the midst of that. And we were in a small group in the suicide bathroom, and I was meditating, and my eyes were closed, but I could still see the bathroom. And this woman appeared. She was dressed in like white, but not like white. It was like I guess like a nightgown cloth looking thing. It was wet. I had holes in it. Her hair was really matted. Her eyes were really sunken in. And she proceeded to look at me, and I was like, okay. So I opened my eyes. I'm looking at the spot, and I kind of still see her there. And it was like she was surprised that someone was looking at her. And I just kind of I maintained eye contact in that spot, and again, those, I was actually looking, I just see it. And I just sort of nodded my head at her. And she just kind of half smiled and went away. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the bathroom itself. It could have been, I was just open at that moment. But I have that is my experience in the suicide bathroom. No evidence whatsoever. We didn't get anything from there. It was pretty much quiet the entire time we're in there, and I debriefed with my team lead at the time after the whole event and explained to her what was happening with me. So that was my suicide bathroom experience. But the big thing that happened for me was actually in I believe it was the hydrotherapy area.
Oh, let's segue to that then.
That's a fun place.
Yeah. And Brad, I think I'm going to have to rival you on the most noted skeptic on this panel. If you guys know Alex Matsuo, she will let you know that I am the resident skeptic of our team. I'm the first person to say, okay, calm down.
It's true.
And so I go into the room, and there's this area off of that's got a doorway, and I could see that there were shadows coming in the room, and I knew it was from outside. So I just wanted to go stand there, pay attention to what was happening outside. There were some lockers there, and I took the lockers and just opened the doors, and I'm just standing there, and I'm looking, and I'm just noticing the plate coming through the door, and I kind of turned my head, and as I'm turning my head, I see this woman in front of me, and all I got was a silhouetted figure. I couldn't see facial structure or anything, but there was someone directly in front of me. And as someone, I'm so sorry, as someone who has never experienced anything like that before, of course I screamed and ran, because it was directly in front of me. It wasn't like off in the distance. It was like right there. It was right in front of, so like between me and the lockers. And I wasn't ready for it. And of course, I ran out of that little area and sort of held on to somebody, tried to explain what I saw. And once I was able to calm down, I stood in the area and I apologized profusely for frightening whatever that might have been. To this day, I can still see the outline of that figure as clear as day. And I've not had an experience like that since then. So I've been dying to get back to St. Albans because I want to revisit those places and see if, now that I have 12 more years of experience under my belt, see if those experiences can occur again, or if something new is going to occur, or if maybe I was just a young investigator at the time and I really was just seeing something light coming through the door, because I really was checking to make sure that anything that happened, shadow play, I could say, guys, there's a door over here, it's coming through. I'm really excited to talk about the bowling alley later. Because I want to talk about what not to do in investigations when it comes to the bowling alley.
That is fantastic, because I think, with the exception of Brandon, of course, I think we've all had our fair share of experiences in the bowling alley. Do you guys want to just go ahead and talk about the bowling alley?
Sure. I've had bats in my hair in the bowling alley when I had hair. I don't have it now, but
I
did.
Oh my God, yes. I don't know what scares me more. Oh, man.
When I first came on board with CPRI, that was in 2010. We went down to the sanatorium then, and I was brand spanking new. I just moved to Richmond, Virginia from West Virginia 2 years before. It was a creepy place, and they all had something prepped for me when I got there, because they'd been there before. And so I get there, and they say, "Hey, I need you to put a camera down in the bowling alley." And they were all up on that main level there near where the grand staircase is.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I didn't even have the flashlight I had was a tiny pen light I had stuck in my mouth. And while I was carrying the camera and about 100 feet of cable, and I go all the way down those steps, and I get down there, and I'm like, guys, there's no light down here. And then silence. Yeah. Silence. And I'm like,
Yep.
guys, can anybody hear me? Silence on the radio. So I hook up I hook up everything, and the bats are flying around, and I get everything hooked up, and I look in there, and I'm waving on the camera so they can see me. They're all busting the gut 2 floors above me up there, just laughing themselves silly because I went down there by myself like a goober. So yeah, it was that was my first experience at St. Albans Sanatorium. I was hazed at St. Albans Sanatorium. But the bowling alley, when I set that camera up, while I was setting it up, there was something moving at the far end of that I could not get a handle on. Every time I shined light down there, it stopped. Now, it might have been, pardon my West Virginia vernacular, but that might have been a critter down there, as far as I know. But whatever was down there was moving, and it was making the mechanisms down there move. It was big enough to do that. Now, I've seen raccoons that big, but it's hard to tell. But yeah, but after we got the camera going and we had it aimed down there, we didn't see anything at that far end of that bowling alley at all. I mean, that right there was my first experience in having something move. When I came into the group, I was the guy that thought everything had an explanation. Everything had an explanation because I was a chemist, fresh out of Dow Chemical Corporation. And I'm like, no, this all has to have an explanation. But I could not explain that movement. I went all the way down there and shined a light in there and everything like that, and there's nothing in there. So who knows? Maybe it's a big snake. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Because that was back, Ronnie, when they hadn't done any repair work in there. There were giant holes in the floor. There was water everywhere. And it was, and let me tell you something, that wasn't a safe place to be in because I work for the Department of Health now. And so it's like, there's lead-based paint, asbestos, mold everywhere. It was just, and all the bats, all the bats everywhere too. There was bat guano back in there where that boiler room is.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was just nasty. But anyway, I'm hogging the mic here, but
you're fine.
Ronnie, I'm sure you've got stories from that bowling alley down there.
Oh, I have a few. I'll tell you, this is how long ago we went in there, and there were like gun shells and shotgun shells and hypodermic needles and all kinds of stuff in there. It was pretty nasty. If you go in there now, it's clean.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pampered. I feel like I'm one of the pampered ones because the first time I ever went to St. Albans was shortly before quarantine.
Well, you go back to when the hauntings started or the claims or whatever. Yeah. I'm thinking like when the building sat dormant for a long time before, they opened it back up. I believe a lot of people that came in, I'm pretty sure there were some seances done and all kinds of stuff in there at one time. I believe a lot of the stuff in there has been brought in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, there's a theory. There's a theory out there too that a lot of the stuff that's happening in there, where it's been escalating over the years, just in intensity and the sheer amount of activity that's going on in that location, it just seems like that people might be generating that stuff. It's like because they go in and they want to see something evil, they want to see something dark, and by golly, there it is, right there in front of them.
It's like a tulpa.
It is.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that because I'm not a spiritual kind of guy. But the things that I've been reading, and I've been talking to some friends of mine. Yeah, I have one or two of those with me.
I wasn't going to say anything.
The whole friend thing. But anyway, they all seem to be. They seem to think the same thing. Now, there's another thing too. Where we've been noticing at other locations where we're gathering all this data, and we're passive data collectors. We set up a bunch of gear, walk out, and sit somewhere and watch and wait and collect all the data, go back and analyze it later. The thing that that we're noticing is that locations that do a lot of paranormal tours, and they do, you know, a lot of like, my house is real close to the Richmond International Airport, and there's a
I know. Oh yeah.
But
that means it's gonna fly over my house soon.
yeah, but but the thing that we've noticed is the more that you do those tours, the more and those you know, group investigations and stuff, you know, pay to play kind of things, the more you do that, the more activity you get, the more and you start switching over from what used to be mostly residual or non-interactive type activity to a more interactive.
Right.
And we're not sure why that is or what it is. It's just we're noticing that as we collect the data, we're noticing that. And it's jumping out. There's a definite trend up on both intensity and amount of activity. And I was really, and I was, I'm kind of, you know, when I talk about activity, I'm talking about, you know, spikes in radiation, spikes in electromagnetic fields, shifts in the geomagnetic field, barometric pressure, all that's all the environmental stuff. I'm noticing more and more of that. Plus, you know, you go to a location and you'll have, you know, a location. It used to be all residual. You might hear a every once in a while or something like that. But now you got a door open and slam on you. You know, it's like, whoa, what the heck? You know, and that just seems like that's what's going on at St. Albans. St. Albans is like a textbop case for that. In my opinion.
I think both April and I can attest that because we've had our fair share of experiences together at St. Albans where they definitely did interact. April, take it away.
Yeah, so I actually have a friend, is what I call him or her. I don't know what it is. I have a friend at St. Albans down the bowling alley. You guys were talking about the bowling alley, and for years and years, every investigation that I go on, I ask like, hey, can you take a selfie with me? And so I've never had anything until this one time I was at St. Albans. And actually, funny enough, it was the same night that I got my podcast. I got Freaks and Geeks. I was there with the Vibe Radio Network with Ryan Jones and all his guys. And that's kind of how I got introduced to podcasting in general. But we were down in the basement and we took a photo, the whole group of us. And I had asked, hey, would you like to join us in this photograph? And sure enough, there is a black silhouette standing right behind me. And you could even see a smile on it. It's pretty intense. I'll send it to you guys after, but it's pretty intense.
To see that.
But the thing is that every single time I've been after that situation, I have always had some of the most intense reactions in the bowling alley, in and around the bowling alley. There was one time when we were going through and we were doing kind of a public event thing. And I was helping with tours and stuff like that night. And I was downstairs in bowling alley and we had a big group of people. And so sometimes when you have like a public tour or something like that, you have people that are just kind of unhappy because there's so many people in one place, right? Yeah. So I was trying to show them, hey, listen, you don't have to stay in this one room. Like there's plenty of other spaces in here. There's a bathroom across the hallway. There's this staircase that has honestly always creeped me out. And I had my only experience I've ever been terrified on in my entire ghost hunting career. Back up to that. So I had an experience. I think I saw a full bodied apparition. I'm not sure to this day. I'm not sure. But being that I am an Army veteran and everyone around me was freaking out about all of these things that were all the activity that was happening. This is in the bowling alley, right? So this is our first visit ever to St. Albans. Everybody's freaking out. So I'm like, okay, let's get everything. I'm going to help gather up the equipment. You guys go ahead. I will carry you up the rear, I'll make sure everybody's safe. Just normal stuff, right? Mother Goose. I get on the stairs and I was wearing a backpack. Something grabbed my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Something grabbed my backpack.
Which stairs?
That was at the bowling alley. So I was going
bowling alley stairs. Yeah.
Right. I was going to leave the bowling alley. Something grabbed my backpack and pulled backward. Now, Again, Army veteran, Army strong, not Army smart. I am going to continue to move up the stairs and I am not going to look behind me. I don't care. Like hell or high water, I'm getting up these stairs. So I know it wasn't that my backpack was snagged because I moved up those stairs with purpose. I waited until we got up there to tell everybody. So anyway, I've continuously had these weird interactions every single time I'm in the bowling alley. That was the only time I've ever been afraid. Then I get this selfie picture a couple of years later. And then like the next year, I'm doing this public tour and I'm trying to tell people, hey, listen, come into this stairwell. Like come talk to me in this stairwell. And that's the bowling alley stairwell, right? So I've got this small group of people that, they want to do an EVP session. And I'm like, okay, let's try and make this as closed off as we can. Here's how we're going to do it. You know what I mean? We're all going to make sure that we stay really silent and really still. And I had backed myself in underneath the stairwell to give them room. All of a sudden, you know how like when you're bending down or you're moving around and all of a sudden you can tell that something has entered your personal space and that you know where it is. You're like, what the hell? Like something's in my face. Something had its face next to my face. All of a sudden.
Right here.
Right here. Yep. Right beside me. And I could almost hear it breathe. And that was the end of that. I was like, okay, guys, all right, everybody good. Let's move on back to the bowling alley. Anybody got anything? Good. Everybody's good, right? Everybody's good.
Oh man.
So I mean that I have had so many crazy experiences in and around the bowling alley. I think, and it feels to me, and again, I'm not faith-based by any means, but just opening myself up to the possibilities of what it could have been. It felt like the same person every single time. Every single time. Something within me knows that it is that person. And so now when I go to the bowling alley, I say hello. I say, hey, it's me. Like I'm back. So good to see you. Like I'm so glad to be back here with you. And the last time we were there with Whitney, we had crazy activity in the bowling alley. We were sitting there doing an EVP session, and all of a sudden we start hearing this like what sounds like scratching and banging on the walls,
footsteps.
And so we walked around to see, like, is it coming from somebody else? Because I know Steve Dills, this was during the Enigma Con, so Steve Dills and his group were upstairs, and you could kind of hear them talking far off. But we tried to duplicate the sounds that we were hearing up there from the same area that they were in, and there was no way. We did as close as we could.
Was
around.
around.
Do a full 360, but we did a 360 around the room. We even got into one of the closets that's next to the boiler room to try and determine like if there's a space in between the ceiling and in the next floor.
Guys, it was crazy. And at first, because of how loud it was, I really was thinking that it was another group just bang, 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 bang. And I know Steve and his group, they are not that disrespectful or that loud.
You want me to debunk it for you?
Please do. Please do.
Right above the bowling alley is the office. And if anybody's walking through the office area right there in front of Marcel's office and all that, you hear those footsteps.
Did any of us go up to that area? Because I could have sworn we did.
Yeah, we did.
And if it was during Enigma Con, you had hundreds of people walking through there.
No, it was the dinner. It was the special night. So it was just us.
Yeah. I'm not saying it. Yeah. I heard footsteps down there on the floor. The actual bowling alley, the wood floor.
Well, we heard music.
There was some of that too.
Yeah.
Old time music.
Have you ever been to the bathroom across the hall from the bowling alley?
Yeah.
That's where whatever you are taking pictures with stays. It's not in the boiler room and it's not in the bowling alley.
That makes
sense. He comes out, but he stays in that bathroom.
What is it about those bathrooms? I want to send you
the picture, Ronnie. I want to get your opinion on it.
Okay. Does anybody know Copperhead, Greg Graham?
Yeah, yeah.
He's the main guy from Trans-Allegheny.
Mm-hmm.
He comes down with us a lot, and something draws him to that bathroom, and he goes down by himself, and then he'll get on the radio and call me down, and I'll go down. He'll say, like, something's screwing with me down here, and it's a guy, and he has it out with him. He said he follows him all around the bowling alley, but he won't go up the stairs.
That
But
makes
in that,
sense, actually.
you know, we got a small team. It's only 7 of us, and we'll go down in the bowling alley and spread out and do an EVP session or SDs or something. And I've sat against the wall, and if anybody's seen the bowling alley, it's all graffitied up.
Yeah.
In pitch black dark, you can still see the white, and then where the spray paint and the white. I've had something walk across and just block out all the white and stand there, and then move off.
Yep. Move off. Yeah, I've been. Oh dear,
He's frozen.
Ronnie.
Yeah, it looks like he's frozen.
We
He's
made
everyone
it this
talking
far.
about
Oh, okay.
He's
All
back.
right.
Everyone's talking
You're
about
back.
Ronnie.
Well, I mean, my first experience there in the bowling alley, I actually felt I was sitting like right smack in the middle of the lane, and I felt something touch my ears. Like you remember the show Mork and Mindy, and how Mork ended the show by touching his ears and going nanu nanu. That's exactly what I felt,
Wow.
and I'm like, okay, hi. Nice. And then I almost got hazed there too, because the guys from Wraith Chasers, they made me go down there to pick up a fake $100 bill.
I'm not the only one.
I did not go alone. I took one of the wonderful docents with me, and also I made them sign it. So anyway, but that's a horse of a whole other color. Ronnie, you were also suggesting going off the beaten path. Where have been some off the beaten path locations?
Well, right after the pandemic, we got to go during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We did a number of investigations there when it was kind of shut down. And now I've done this for 20 years, and I've never had a bad experience. We've had private cases that claim demonic spirits and everything, and it's somebody looking for attention. But we went into the King Center one night,
Mm-hmm.
and if you go to the King Center to the elevator section, well, I'm gonna try to make the long story short. Me and Noah were standing. You top the grand staircase and come around towards the King Center.
I know where you are. Yeah.
We were standing there looking down the hallway, and there's a big window that emits light through it. Well, we seen a shadow look like it swung from the ceiling across the hall.
Oh yeah.
And I sat there and I seen it, but I didn't want to say anything. And Noah looked at me and goes, "Well, did you see that?" I said, "Yes." I was waiting to see if you seen it to verify that I've actually seen something. So it was Alan, Brenda, me, Noah, and Lisa went down to the King Center in that little area where the nurses station and the elevators and all are. Yeah. We sat there doing an EVP session. Well, I happened to sit in the floor facing back towards the grand staircase. And I know they were asking questions, but it seemed like they were getting further off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I seen a black shadow like tried to cloak over me.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I just sat there and I could hear everybody, but it sounded like they were in another room. And then I heard Alan say, "Ronnie, are you okay?" And he said it a number of times, and I couldn't answer him. I don't know what was going on, and that's the only time and first time anything's ever happened like that. And we have over 80 private locations, anywhere from the Myrtles to Ohio State to the Stanley Hotel. Never had anything like that happen.
Wild.
But it took me about 3 days to get my bearings. I don't know what happened or what it was, but yeah, off the beaten path. Nobody goes to I think everybody watches all the TV shows, and then they hit these spots at the TV shows. And y'all know the building is huge. It's a maze.
Yeah.
So many spots. Donald's room and Jacob's room. I did an EVP session in Jacob's room one night, and as I was leaving, I said, "Thank you, Jacob, for letting us come in your room." I get home, I get a Class A EVP with a little child going, "You're welcome."
You see, the three most significant things that we've ever collected data on have been an off the beaten path in there.
Yeah.
That hallway you're talking about on that second floor up there, we've that as a matter of fact, if you go to our Facebook page, our cover photo is that hallway with a red light.
Yes.
And we call it the shining hallway. We had the Discovery Channel following us around in there once, and they were standing behind us, and we had those red lights pointing down down that hallway because we had been seeing things down there, and we wanted to use visible red light, not infrared or anything like that. So we had our visible light cameras set up, and we were ready to roll. We're all standing there at the end. The camera guy from Discovery Channel standing behind us. The next thing you know, some black shadow down there around where the elevators were manifests up towards the ceiling and just shoots right over our heads. And we all duck. And the guy from the Discovery Channel, he fell. And then he gets up and he goes, "I got to go outside." So he went outside and we went out there with him. And his hand was like trying to smoke a cigarette and stuff. And then
poor guy.
They left.
Wow.
So we stayed there. But that was that hallway. And, and then of course we also around where, I guess that's Jacob's room is what that's called. That what you were talking about. Of course, we had we actually, the funny thing is my daughter was 7 years old, and she went with me in there. And she is fearless.
Yes,
Whitney, you know my daughter. She is fearless.
I do. She is fearless.
And she went in and sat with my wife right smack in the middle of that room, and they were reading a book, a children's book out loud, right? So my whole crew is everywhere. We have every piece of sensory equipment we ever had all aimed at that room. And behind us, near the stairwell, we had a camera that was pointing towards that room. And all of a sudden, that camera lifts up and gets thrown across the room. I crap you not. It was like, woo, about like this high, and then boom, gone, thrown across the room. And it damaged the camera. And we didn't realize it had happened until after we were done in that room. And we thought we got butkus, right? So we're all coming out of that room, we're going to download all the data and see what happened. And we look, it's like, where'd that camera go? And everybody's looking for that camera, and it's laying over against the wall.
My God.
The bottom of it's broken off. So that happened there, and we still can't figure out what happened there. At first, I thought somebody tripped over the cable, but nobody was near the cable. Nobody was near the cable. And then the other biggest thing we've ever had happen there was over where the bird cage is, I guess is what you call it. Mm-hmm. There's a hallway that goes up to that cage.
Yep.
And we had some friends of ours. We're part of the Taps family, and some friends of ours that are also in the Taps family. They're the Canadian Hauntings and Paranormal Society. Chaps. I love the name. Anyway, they're great guys, and they came down and helped us volunteer there, and we actually cut weeds and pounded nails and put wood down, all that stuff. Well, that night we got to investigate, so we're taking them through there. They had a videographer with them. Cool. And she's like, I'm in front of that videographer. There's a person behind her, and she's actually holding the camera above her head. And then all of a sudden she said, she stops and she says, "Is anybody touching my purse?" And I turned and I looked at her. Her purse is sitting straight out from her body, and her hands are up here, and there's nobody touching it. And then behind her is one of our guys named Mike Magner was behind her. He reached up and touched the purse, and the purse fell. And it was that was significant. Those are the three most significant things we've had happen to us. Of course, we have no environmental data around any of those.
Of course not. Of course not.
But still, it was as a personal experience. We actually caught all that stuff on camera. So we, including the thing in the shining hallway there, we caught that on camera. So we do have it on camera, but we don't have what we really need to finish off the experiment. But it was still pretty cool.
Well, if it went across the ceiling, then we've probably seen the same thing.
Yeah, see, I need to tell Alan, Alan Sloniker, I need to tell him that, because he was the one that first saw that thing down there, and I need to tell him that that'll mean he's vindicated. And if he's watching, Alan, if you're watching, you should comment that because you are vindicated, buddy.
Please do. Whenever anyone sees this, yes, please comment. If anyone has been to St. Albans that's watching right now or is going to watch later, comment on our links and be like, hey, here are my experiences if you want to share them. So Brandon, this has been quite a whirlwind. Do you have questions about St. Albans so far? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I've just been getting a kick out of listening to all y'all.
I mean, it really is true. St. Albans, she remembers you when you come and visit. So she'll probably remember you, Ted.
Gotta hope so. I've got questions.
Yeah.
And I need an invitation. Who's inviting me to come with y'all?
I mean,
in 12 years. Come on now.
I'd love to get back there, but it's probably not in the cards for us for a very long time. We are so booked up right now. It's not. I want to get back there. Our president actually lives in Roanoke, and that's Tommy Amos, and he goes down there all the time by himself or with his family, and talks to Marcel. And if Marcel's watching, hi Marcel. And he goes down there all the time, and he keeps talking about how, we really need to get down there. But every time he brings it up, we're booked out 6 months, 7 months, trying to collect data on various experiments. So I'm going to work it in the schedule. I am going to work it in the schedule.
Yeah.
Well, we always did EnigmaCon since I think 2016.
Yep.
And if you do, y'all know how events work. Once it's over, the next day you kind of start planning for the next one. So EnigmaCon was taking us just about a whole year to plan, and it was cutting back on our investigating and our locations and all we were planning on going to. So last year we decided that it was so much work that we were going to stop doing EnigmaCon, but we still wanted to help St. Albans out.
Yeah.
So we're planning on, like I said, we get the keys to the place, a few times a year. And Marcel's agreed that we can take our dates and do something for St. Albans to still help out, because the building still needs a lot of work.
It does.
Although it's very Michael Painter took it over. Tracy stepped away, and he has done an amazing job cleaning the place up.
Oh, that's good.
And Andrea and Buster and all, they help, and they've cleaned it up a lot. But it's none of that stuff is free. Mm-hmm. So we're planning on doing, and this is just between us and everybody's listening, can keep it under the hat. We're gonna start doing invitationals, and we're gonna reach out to people who have not been, or either not that many trips, and do a big like heads of teams, not whole teams, like heads of teams come in and network with all the teams that we're going to be inviting from all over the place. And maybe everybody can network together. And it might help St. Albans out with booking it for their team, private for their team. So just kind of keep that under your hat. I know we're on a public platform here, but we're looking to do that.
All right. Well, that's a tantalizing future for St. Albans. And I think we can all agree this is a place that matters on so many different levels. And we all are going to have an opportunity to just keep plumbing through and doing research and learning more about the place and sharing it with all of you. So, and yes, Ted, I saw your expression. Yes, 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 yes. So, since it's getting close to that, actually, it's past the time. Thank you for all that, guys. But real quick, how can people find you guys? We'll start with you, April. What's a good way to find you and your freaky crew?
So Facebook, we're really big on. We do have a TikTok presence and an Instagram presence. So feel free to look us up. We are Freaks with a Q, just like frequencies, Freaks and Geeks. So we have not been broadcasting for a little bit, but there might be. Don't call it a comeback.
Ooh.
We've got some things planned, so we'll see. We'll see what happens in the near future.
Awesome. Brad Bradley, how can we find you in CPRI?
We're on Facebook, of course. The Center for Paranormal Research and Investigation. It's not hard to find us. And then we also have a website, centerpri.org. And you can email me at science@centerpri.org. And we're a 501c3, so you can also look us up through the IRS website if you want to. I don't know who would want to, but go for it.
God help everybody who wants to go through the IRS website. Yeah. It's a quagmire. Ronnie Anderson and Bedford Paranormal, how can we find you?
Okay, our website is under construction right now, but Bedford Paranormal, www.com, whatever. But it's nothing there. Best way to get in touch with us is Facebook. Oh. And we've let everything go for the past year because we've been supporting Angie.
Yep.
And getting her on her feet again. But we're about ready to do a YouTube channel. I think they're working on Instagram and TikTok. I don't know why. God. But that's something the girls want. But yeah, and we're talking about doing a podcast here in the near future.
Oh boy.
And let's see. We're working on a book.
Yes.
It's going to be each member has 2 chapters to write on their favorite location. Since we have, like I said, over 80, we're all fighting over locations right now, but we're going to basically tell their history and the group and all to start it out, and then they're going to write their chapter on a specific location, and we're all going to do it and try to get the book out. But like I said, Angie's deal has put us on the back burner for a little bit. We still talk every day.
Yes.
Even though, we don't see each other every day, but we talk every day, all of us.
And Angie, we love you. We're all still loving and hugging you, and you're a warrior. We love you. Ted Willis, Association for Paranormal Study. How can we find you?
Well, you can find me at a future St. Albans event.
Hey!
Personally. You can find us at associationofparanormalstudy.com. We have a big Facebook presence. But I want to also make a plug for an event that we are sponsoring, new event called the Paranormal Research Symposium, which will be August 11th in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. We're bringing together some of the greatest minds in paranormal research to come do some presentations and panels, including
I don't know
Bradley.
about that. I don't know about that. I was going to say I'm not one of those, but
you are definitely one of those.
I read your abstract, dude.
as did I. I'm looking forward to hearing you speak, man. But yes, reach out to us so we can get you some more information about coming to join us on August 17th.
17th or 11th. It's going to be awesome. All right, guys. And everything to do with St. Albans that we can find, we'll put up in the show notes because it's cool. And hi, Brandon.
It's a good way to end the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have done this in 2 shows because there's so much more.
Well,
there is so much
what
more.
I was going to say is, this may have to carry over into the next season.
Yeah.
I have so many experiences and stories and all to tell about that place. And it's good to see that some of it correlates with everybody else.
That is pretty awesome. I'm glad that it did.
Yeah, I'm going to tell Alan Sloniker, dude, you've been vindicated because what you saw wasn't a floater in your eye.
No.
And April, we'll have to decide if we want to tell the Shakira story.
Well, I haven't even been able to tell my Chuck Thornton impromptu exorcism story yet.
God, it was wild. There's
Chuck's
so
the
much.
man.
Chuck is the man.
Chuck is the man. He really is. And so we'll have to do this again next season. So, Para family, we love you so much. And Brandon, take us home.
Well, if you listen to us on Apple Podcast, I don't know. This first part's your thing. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, it is my thing. If you listen to us through Apple, please leave a review or a 5-star rating. We love the 5 stars, but we also love the reviews more because it helps people find our show, and it also gives us feedback to make our show better. We do read them. Isn't that right, Brandon?
You do.
Okay, when we have time. But yes, we do. Thank you. Brandon, how else can people find us?
All right. So if you listen to us, if you're an Android listener, that's the line. If you're an Android listener, you can follow us on iHeartRadio. Google Podcasts, I guess, isn't around anymore. So just go out there and find us on those places, or just simply say, Alexa, play the Para Unity podcast, and she will, because she actually listens to the show too. But Siri, screw her, she doesn't. She likes Zach Baggins, so we don't talk to her.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Hey, let me tell you what. I've been around him enough to know that he's a real douchebag. He is.
Here,
He
folks.
is a real douchebag.
And there's more vindication in my life. I love it.
There you go.
Ronnie
Or-
the Vindicator.
The first time I met him, he shook my hand and then turned around to his bodyguard with a hand sanitizer and washed his hands like I was filthy.
Oh, he's a germ. He's such a major germaphobe.
Yeah, but I didn't stink or anything. I don't get it.
No.
And then I had to go to the restroom one time, and he was in there, and his bodyguard tried to tell me I couldn't go in there with him in there. I'm not going to tell you what I said, but I went in there. He's a real douche nozzle.
Did you pee on his shoe?
Yeah.
I wanted to,
That would have been awesome.
but yeah.
Don't whiz on the
Okay, so
electric
anyways,
fence.
so if you like, man, I'm completely lost now. That would.
Anyway,
So if you like,
you can
the
find
show,
us.
Tell a friend. If you don't like the show, I don't want to hear about it. If you want to be a guest or you like more Para Unity, please visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, any of that stuff. I do not do TikTok because I don't know how to dance. Yeah, or go on our website and buy us a coffee if you want to help us pay for the show. Otherwise, I'm going to have to keep working street corners. So
I'm going to tell your wife on you.
I think this is about all I got.
And guys, this is how we end a season. So he's Brandon.
I am. And that's
And-
Whitney.
Hi, and you've been in the best place to bring our paranormal families a little closer together, the Para Unity Podcast. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Night.
Thanks, guys.
Hold on, I forgot to do the thingy.
Oh, gosh. You forgot.
Good night, y'all.